Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Engineering First. With me today is Mr. Tushar Bhatnagar. Welcome, Tushar.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks for coming. Tushar, we would like to know if you can just talk about a little bit about yourself and the startup that you are running.
Sure, I'll go ahead with that. So I recently, for last couple of years, I have, actually grasped the concept of artificial intelligence to a huge extent. By saying grasp the concept of artificial intelligence, I mean to say that, artificial intelligence just doesn't, condense itself around machine learning or deep learning for that matter. So it has a broad spectrum which revolves around chatbots, neuroscience, bioinformatics, robotics, bionics, and whatnot.
Yeah.
So given so many facets to it, so I just took it upon myself. Since childhood, I've been a curious kid. So why don't I just take it as another, uh, you know, take it to be as an a curiosity venture,
Yeah.
that what, I'm just going to explore AI whatsoever comes in between, like even if it's starting my own ventures, even if it's about working on tons of projects, or even if it's about collaborating with people. My whole focus has always been around AI, right? With that in picture, I spent 2 years working on autonomous drones and electric vehicles when I was back in India. Like, recently I just moved to the UK to pursue my masters. So prior to moving to UK, like when I was in India, I started doing my research on all those things which I mentioned. So while doing that, I realized, there are a lot of underlying concepts that people don't really know about AI and machine learning for that matter. There's a lot of statistics, mathematics, and core algorithms involved behind all those frameworks that people generally use. Frameworks could be, there are a lot of frameworks based on Python, and there are a lot of frameworks available in MATLAB and C++ for that matter, which people can actually use and build reasonable applications right now.
Yeah.
But again, the whole issue is that people do not really understand how those frameworks came into picture. How are they actually working behind the scenes? Why those frameworks? Like, what problem are those frameworks actually solving?
Right.
So to get answers to those particular set of questions, I decided it's high time I pursue my masters. So that is when I decided I'll probably move to the UK and get a better understanding on those particular concepts. So while pursuing my master's, at the same time, I worked on a couple of more projects, and that is when I came in contact with one of my co-founders whom I'm working with right now.
Okay.
So he had specialized in IoT, and had a background in electronics, and working on different kind of computer hardware.
Right.
So like my masters was just about to finish, and he and I had been actively discussing about different avenues in terms of AI, and how AI can be used on the edge devices, and how IoT can be integrated alongside AI onto different industrial applications. So given that, given those kind of discussions, we decided, why don't we just start something. So with that in mind, we launched the initiative called IoTize. So IoTize is a AI enabled IoT company.
Okay.
So the projects we try to build using IoTize, revolve around deploying AI solutions on the edge devices, as well as deploying them on, as well as actually accommodating the AI alongside the existing hardware, which could include drones, or which could include CCTV cameras, or it could even include, the old computer hardware, like all the old laptops that are lying at your place, or maybe old that mainframe systems, and even any old Arduino chipsets. So our objective was to deploy AI solutions on those kind of IoT devices.
Okay.
And at the same point, as AI had been has been advancing every day. So every day we end up hearing about a lot of new state of art algorithms coming out in the world. People have been exploring language processing models, and detection models, and whatnot. Like, AI has been revolutionizing a lot of industries out there.
Do that.
So given that kind of a scenario, we decided, you know what, let IoT solve the problem of deploying AI solutions on the edge on the IoT devices. Why don't we come up with another venture which actually solves uh, this problem specific to artificial intelligence? So with that being said, we launched another initiative called Cognixa. So through Cognixa, what we're trying to do is Cognixa serves as a AI as a platform service. So using Cognixa, we are trying to solve three verticals. That is analytics, cybersecurity, and ROS, that is robotic operating system.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is amalgamate all these three platforms together and try to come up with a unified platform which can be deployed anywhere across the globe on any kind of system. So if it's about precision farming, all you got to do is go onto the platform, download our software, and mention what kind of application you want to work on. You can actually say, no, it's about precision farming. Make the requisite payment, get in touch with the team and get some hands-on training regarding the same, and you're done. All you have to do is just install the software, and the software just takes over. So it's a fully autonomous system that we're trying to develop, that once deployed onto a particular system, given what kind of target it needs to pursue, like given the kind of use case it has to work on, it will automatically morph into that. So we are trying to develop automorphic autonomous deployable solutions using Cognixa. So these are the two companies that I'm working on parallel, and that is how we are able to design the AI solutions required for IoTs, and IoTs is solely being focused on deploying those AI solutions on the edge.
Oh, that's great. That's really great. And you mentioned that this is a software that you will actually be selling to your clients, right? Along with the consumer
Right.
tools on
Right.
IoTs and Connexia.
Right.
Interesting, interesting. No, that's really good, Tushar. And since you already are there in industry, starting with robotics and moving from to AI and ML, I really appreciate your decision of starting Connexia as another branch, just moving from IoT when AML is going to be the trending thing in the world. What do you think, from your perspective, are the industries, the key sectors that should watch out for all the developments in AI and ML?
Well, to start with, there are typically three industries that are being impacted by AI. So the three industries, namely, are education, business intelligence, and manufacturing. Like the biggest example for manufacturing could be China. Like the Chinese factories, they have the whole automation going on. The high level of automation is already there, and they have already set a huge benchmark for the whole world to look at. Like,
Yes.
this is the scale of automation we are offering. We have cut down on our costs to a huge extent. And,
Right.
China is amongst the leading superpowers in terms of artificial intelligence solutions.
Okay.
So that is how China is, leading the whole manufacturing industry as of now. And when it comes to business intelligence, I think, we can start with the basic examples. So basic examples could be Google AdWords. Like, how is Google actually targeting different websites? How is it promoting SEO? How is it doing all that marketing out there? So it is all because Google has those automated systems that, like, it's all about how they have made use of the data they have collected throughout the years, and how have they develop their systems that they can actually micro target those advertisements.
Right.
Right. So it could be more like developing models based on language. It could be more about developing language models. So Google has a lot of webs. A lot of people have opted for AdWords. So they keep mentioning about the keywords and everything out there. So
Right.
given the capacity that the Google holds, given the computation capacity that Google holds, all you could do is just reverse engineer those keywords and add, all the AdWords that have been mentioned, and just go on each and every website, try to build the whole model, try to build context, and that is how Google can come up with better algorithms and better search results. So that is one example. And the other example for the education sector could be the MOOCs provided by different organizations. Like, I feel the leading organizations could be Coursera and Udacity.
Okay.
Like the way they evaluate the performances, the way they're coming up with different kind of courses, that could be that would be one segment where AI is being used for destructive innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not destructive, it's
Disruptive.
disruptive innovation. Right.
Disruptive has to disrupt something, the current norms, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other industries, I have a hunch about AI being that disruptive as healthcare.
Yeah.
Like we already have a lot of high tech research going on back in the UK, wherein the surgeons are being allowed to conduct surgery using augmented reality and virtual reality.
Yeah.
That is all they have to do is sit inside the cabins, equip themselves with the hardware, and they could actually direct the robots in the surgery room where the robots could autonomously perform the surgery.
Right. Right.
So while being in the room, the doctor could actually conduct multiple surgeries at a
Mhm.
particular instant rather than being present in the room and doing so. So
Right.
this is the extent to which healthcare is being revolutionized.
Right.
And in the other aspect, it could be logistics as well. Like logistics in the sense, like even at IoTies, we've been developing certain solutions for the logistics industry. That could be monitoring different containers for the shipping industry, like monitoring containers, trying to find like which company do they belong to, like what how frequently do they come to that particular port, like are they damaged or not. There's a small facets to the whole big solution, but in the end it's all about building the whole AI capacity. So once you build the solution, it can be deployed anywhere.
Right. Right. That's interesting. Really, really interesting.
Right.
I think
And the
this.
next is the and to probably conclude with the use cases, I'll say the last could be the defense industry. So we have the likes of Israel, Scotland, South Korea, even China, and US has been the highest US being the highest spender in terms of the defense budget.
Right.
So we can easily see like where the whole the warfare is going to change into, like the whole facet of the warfare is going to change in terms. Like recently I just happened to read a blog on an Indian website as well, which claimed that DRDO is offering a couple of grants to the Indian companies which can provide solutions pertaining to advanced warfare using artificial intelligence.
Okay. Okay.
So that just gives us an example as to the changing face of the whole industry, different segments of the whole industry.
Yeah, no, we can see this is going to be really a very vast field. And I think the next decade is going to shine with AI ML technologies. Many startups have already started doing it. We see a lot
Exactly.
of product using AI ML logics, yet we are not
Right.
realizing it. Like whenever he sees some
Exactly.
auto recommendation or something, it's basically an AI ML engine running suggestions. Like in you cited the example of EdTech, MOOC, they actually
Right.
provide that. So great. I think you are in a very booming sector, and I think from as a perfect member, we always ask our experts to share a word of advice on if anybody wants to become an AI ML expert, what are the things they should do right now?
See, just to start with, I'll just say that people need to get out of the notion that AI is something destructive right now, or AI is going to take away a lot of jobs or something like that. So you need to get out of that notion and think about how AI can actually start benefiting people.
Right.
Right? It's not about taking jobs. Like for example, in China, we haven't heard about people losing their jobs. All we can hear about is increased efficiency, increased productivity,
Right.
increased turnaround time for delivering products. Like all we can see is thousands of I'll just reduce the whole example down to hundreds of thousands. So for example, if Apple was probably producing around 100 devices in a year, so now because of the scale of automation in China, like they're producing the Apple devices, right? They can produce 1,000 to 10,000 devices. So just convert it into a ratio and see it's like 100-fold.
Hmm.
Right? That is the scale of automation that is going on. That is the scale of robotics and advancements that are going on in the field of AI. So whosoever wants to pursue AI, don't think that AI is a buzzword or anything. It's more about a judicious practice of different subsections of AI. That is, if you want to work on chatbots, it is specifically chatbots. What kind of problems are you trying to solve using chatbots? If
Right.
it's about neuroscience, then it's what are the applications of the algorithms or the models you're going to design in the field of neuroscience. and how AI is actually going to benefit those particular phases.
Right.
And whosoever wants to work in AI, all they got to do is just start. All you have to do is have a decent background in Python and have the passion to at least put in around 12 to 13 hours a day. That is what I'd recommend.
Okay. That's interesting. Great, great, great. No, I think really I am very sure that our viewers are going to benefit out of this discussion. And thanks a lot, Tushar, for actually sharing your time with us and coming on this interview. And we wish you all the best for your ventures.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Anand, for the opportunity to come on board and speak on these topics. And yeah, look forward to contributing towards your venture as well.
Thank you so much, Tushar. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Anand. Take care.